Hi, this is Kirby Summers, and I welcome you to the Epstein Project podcast. Today is January 16th, and just yesterday, there was a report that Leslie Wexner is facing a lawsuit um, from his shareholders against him and L Brands, alleging that he should have known, he did know, that Jeffrey Epstein was using his property and the name of Victoria's Secret to lure his victims, and they're trying to hold him accountable. Today is an exclusive. No one has this story because I'm the only person who has gotten this email. Um, I received an email that I was copied on that was sent to Leslie Wexner from Sandy Lewis. Now, for those of you who do not know who Sandy Lewis is, he is the son of Cy Lewis. Cy Lewis, for people who don't know who he is, was pretty much the managing partner of Bear Stearns. Um, he retired in 1978, and after him came Ace Greenberg, who then hired Jeffrey Epstein. However, Sandy has been very interested in the Epstein case. He is one of my sources. He's one of the people that I interviewed when I was writing Bonnie's Clyde, the true story of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, which, by the way, if you've not read, it's on my website, kirbysummers.com. Go to my books. I've got about 10 of them. Scroll down and pick that up. It's great, and it's full of information that mainstream media hasn't shared with you and will not share with you. So because you can read the article about the recent lawsuit against Leslie Wexner, I want to do two things in this episode of the Epstein Project podcast. I want to read to you the letter that Cy copied me on. And I want to remind you that I have been talking about the fact that Leslie Wexner's name has been part of another lawsuit that was filed in 2008. In fact, I devoted episode 12 of my podcast to that lawsuit. It was a lawsuit by Ava Cordero, who was a 16-year-old model when she met Jeffrey Epstein. She sued both Epstein and Wexner. I have tweeted about it for over almost 2 years now. And so this is not the first lawsuit that has connected Wexner to Epstein. It's just the most recent one. And in light of the fact that Wexner tried to remove himself from the situation more than once, he stepped down officially from Victoria's Secret and from L Brands in May of last year when the attention became really hot, when we were all tweeting about it. And in fact, it shows you that tweeting about the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Leslie Wexner, Prince Andrew, about all of these people, that it keeps them on edge, which is good, because when somebody's on edge, they're bound to make a mistake, as we have seen, because Ghislaine Maxwell, after all, is in jail. And it also keeps it in the press. Mainstream media wants to have our clicks. How are they going to get our clicks? If they write about what we're talking about. So yeah, they'll take some stuff off my page, for example. They'll write a story, but guess what? More people will read it, and that's a good thing. I'm going to put the description, the URL for the YouTube video I made, where I talk about the lawsuit that Ava Cordero filed against Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Wexner, at the bottom of this. And let's see, what else am I going to add to that? Well, what I want to say before I get too lost in this episode, and I'm just so excited that stuff is moving along and that Leslie Wexner's name is being brought out, and that it's not being allowed to just simply vanish into thin air until he dies a natural death, and that he's held completely innocent. He's not innocent. We all know it. Um, but before I get, again, too caught up in my own elation at this recent news, I want to thank those of you who have subscribed to my Epstein Project newsletter. Amazing, the interest in my newsletter. I have been able, through my research and the people I speak with and my own kind of knowledge for the last 30 years, to connect a lot of dots that nobody else is connecting. So thank you for subscribing. And some of you have become paid subscribers of my Epstein Project newsletter. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank the people who support me on Patreon. It's fabulous. What I put on Patreon, I think 95% of that is exclusive to only the members of my Patreon. We just had an Ask Me Anything, which was really pretty cool. The questions were great. So the information that I add to Patreon, again, I like to keep it as a treat, as an exclusive, as a perk to the people who support my work. And for all of you who buy my books and who make one-off donations, my heart, my gratitude to you. So in any event, so what I want to do here, without spending too much time, is just give you a quick recap about Leslie Wexner. Wexner, as you know, provided Jeffrey Epstein with the cover, the homes, the airplanes, the cars, the money, to appear to the public to be a billionaire. He was never a billionaire, right? He just wasn't. By the time he gave him, for example, the house in New York City, which, by the way, is the largest private home in all of New York, in the most expensive neighborhood in the city. When he gave him that home in 1996, the New York Times wrote an article about it. I quote it in many of my books and in whatever article I write where I refer to it. And at the time that Leslie Wexner gave Jeffrey Epstein the home for $1, not even $10, but for $1, because there had to be legally a transfer of currency. And so the currency was $1 for the house, and all of the furniture, all of the artwork, all of those multi-million-dollar Picassos that were on the wall, for example, everything was given to Epstein for the sum of $1. But he also gave him the surveillance. So he gave him a home that was fully equipped with surveillance. I've not heard one mainstream media reporter say anything about that. I keep screaming it, and I feel like I'm screaming and I'm getting hoarse already. I've said this at least 1,000 times in so many different ways. So Leslie Wexner had a front. That front was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein did what Leslie Wexner wanted to do, and that was he had a child sex trafficking ring that in turn Leslie Wexner answered to an intelligence agency or two, and who knows, maybe three. So anyway, I had a couple of conversations with Sandy Lewis when I was doing research for my book, Bonnie's Clyde. And for an odd reason, he included me in an email he sent to Leslie Wexner yesterday. He must have read the article, which I will keep a link of below so that you can read the article too, about the new lawsuit brought against Wexner. He writes him an email. He also, by the way, copies Alan Dershowitz. Now, he doesn't do it in a way where it's blind copy, and I don't know that Dershowitz has been emailed, and Dershowitz doesn't know that I've been emailed, and that Wexner doesn't know. No, he did it in such a way that you could see who's been emailed and who hasn't been. So, while it's an oh my God moment where it's like, seriously, I don't even like anyone to tag me on Twitter, much less send a direct email to Leslie Wexner with my address, my name, my email, all of my info. I don't care for it. However, it gives me this exclusive that I share with you. Okay, I'm going to read that email. He writes him, Les, sadly, I am not surprised, but this is sick. Your history, your mother, Chinese trapped in a mansion, Milton Petrie, Alfred T. It's a sad, sad story. On our first visit in your office, Milton Petrie sent me to buy Ltd. Limited for cash. You asked, and I answered, no, do not sell out. And why? Long first meeting. Milton's west wind was cramped, wing over the top. Petrie was a drunk. His fourth was a bitch. She dried him out. Did her hair in Paris, the Concorde. Then, I said, you are good at dressing them. Learn how to undress them. It's more fun. Humor heals, Les. I used humor, and I bought LNY for you. You made us wait 47 days. You vanished that weekend. James D. III promised 100 million. We closed. Morosky showed his colors. Years later, you acted. Your letter to a federal judge was elegant and honest. I was touched. I became your brother. Really. This is the Les Wexner I know. You can be honest. You can be terrific. You can be horrible. You spoke with Jeremy at Goldman Sachs. He passed your message. You said you had learned how to undress them. I was amused, laughed. Les, criminal mischief is sexual. No, sorry, I have to come back to the sentence. Les, criminal mischief sexual is criminal, deadly, wrecks lives. Sex can heal the wrecked if you are not Bill Clinton. Professor Alan Dershowitz is a creep. President Bill Clinton is a sex cripple. Jeffrey Epstein worked for Ace. Ace worked for my dad. They hated each other. His first was with Bill Barr's daddy, Dalton School. Both fired. Hushed. Barr's shame unites him with Trump. That's the bridge. Shame denied. President Donald J. Trump is a sexual predator and rapist, a grifter and a seditionist, dangerous. Mussolini at 1600. Two evil lawyers. Hold on, I've got to lower this. There's a little more to this. Okay, Mussolini at 1600. Two evil lawyers. Many weak lawyers. Les, what are you? A liar? Tell the truth. It's easier. Sexual behavior is or should be voluntary. No child can volunteer. Under the law, 18 matters. Sex can harm or heal. You cannot heal yourself by harming another. You cannot. Les, get a different lawyer. I know what the evil lawyer can do. I've had my share. Call. I will listen. This will not be fun. We will start with the truth, all of it, and an apology. You want a brother? You have one. We start with the truth and sorry. He ends that with an exclamation mark. He signs off Bess Sandy. Well, I don't know that Leslie Wexner is going to respond by hitting all, reply to all, or if he's going to reply to Sandy Lewis at all. I believe when I spoke with Sandy last, he had not spoken with Leslie Wexner for a bit. So for him to come out of the blue and write him this email, I know why he does it. He does it because Leslie Wexner, from what he's told me and what others have told me, does not answer his phone. So he sends him an email hoping that his assistant, Wexner's assistant, will forward it to him. Wexner has separated himself so much from reality that really the only people he talks to are his attorneys. So in any event, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Frankly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the letter that Sandy Lewis sent to Leslie Wexner. This is an exclusive. You're only going to hear it from me at the Epstein Project podcast. I love that I chose the Epstein Project as a sort of like a title for my newsletters a year and a half ago. Who knew that I would have a podcast, that I would have a Patreon, that I would have a book, that I would have so many Epstein related projects. In any event, I'm going to make this one short. Let's see what happens with Wexner going forward. Please like the video, like it so that it can generate more views on YouTube. Okay, guys, talk soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.